Now, seeking inspiration for this week's project video, I had a look through my wood store. I came across several root balls, including this one, which is nice and dry and quite an interesting shape. Hi, William here again. Thank you for joining me for this week's project video. Okay, as you probably gathered, this week I'm going to be attempting to turn a root ball. Now this root ball, which I've had for a couple of years, is, as I recall it, Lilac, which I've turned before and in fact is very pleasant. The root ball itself is about 16-17 inches by varying from 9 to 10 inches. Now, as you can see, the root ball itself is very, very irregular indeed. So the first decision I'm going to have to make is how I'm going to mount it on the lathe, what's the top, what's the bottom, and in fact what it's going to be. So at least the end here nearest the headstock would lend itself to be turned to a tenon, so that's a good place to start. Now I know this isn't going to be a very well balanced to start with, so I'm going to put a pilot hole in each end to set it between centres. Now there's quite a large hole in the end where I want to make the tenon, and therefore for safety reasons I'm going to fill this with some resin. Now I'm doing this with the expectation that most or all of the resin will actually be turned away. Now, having allowed it to cure overnight, the level of the resin has dropped a little bit as it's seeped into the cracks and into the wood, but that's fine because I still have to turn it down. Now I'm going to hollow this piece as much as I can within the realms of possibility, due to the fact of it's a very irregular shape, it's very off balanced, and as I'm cutting the pilot hole here I see also that a lot of the wood in the centre is very punky indeed. Okay, just going to pause and take stock of the situation. This piece isn't turning out as I hoped. It's turned out to be very punky inside and very difficult to hollow because of the irregular shape. So I'm going to drill a bit further down with a force and a bit and see what happens. Also, I'm going to sand a bit up on the outside, put on some sanding sealer to see what kind of a object that I'm going to finish with at the end of the day, and see if it's worth carrying on. Okay, so off camera I made a decision to fill some of the more ugly voids using some black Milliput. Also, I filled some of the seasoning cracking using some CA glue and coffee grindings. Also, I decided to do some texturing on the pieces of Milliput that I couldn't easily sand. So after applying several coats of pre-thinned sanding sealer, I gave it 2 coats of Hampshire Sheen High Gloss. Okay, so the finished product, quite heavy, must weigh 8 or 9 pounds I would think. It's a foot tall by 7 inches at the top by about 4 inches at the bottom. Has it turned out how I expected? Not at all, no. Do I like it? I don't know. Anyway, the wood itself, there are parts of it that are very, very nice. And as I think I mentioned at the beginning, that in fact lilac is a member of the olive family of trees. I'm not sure about the Milliput. I'm not sure whether that was a good idea or not, but it was what I had to hand to fill in some rather ugly voids. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you again next week.